This guy enters. I'm still at the travel agency, just a random guy. Sees me crying, and he sits with me and he says, "What is wrong? What's wrong?" And he immediately held my hand. And I was just crying on his shoulder. He said, "I'll be here with you."
Welcome to the Soulfull Sound podcast, where you will find conscious, inspiring content to support your healing and transformation. Now, before we jump into today's episode, I want to extend a heartfelt invitation for you to be part of our community, where more insightful conversations await to guide you to heal, grow, and thrive. Simply click the subscribe button. It means the world to me, and your engagement is a big part of us reaching the hearts of other beautiful souls like you. Thank you so much for joining, sending you love, healing, and sound wherever you are. Welcome back, everyone, to the latest episode on the Soulfull Sound podcast. I'm joined by the beautiful Laura Formentini, who is an international peace ambassador and humanitarian dedicated to transforming compassion into real-world action for animals, communities, and the planet. And boy, do we need that right now. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
Likewise. We had a very brief conversation just now, and I told you that I was so moved by your TED Talk. I was introduced to your work, and I was just so amazed by it. So I really want to delve into the work that you're doing. So I like to top and tail most of my conversations with the personal story at the beginning. So would you like to share with us what drew you into the work you're doing today, whether that's through the lens of the TED Talk and the info you shared there, or anything else that you feel is relevant right now?
Wow. Sometimes I really don't know where to start because I've done so many different things. But let's say that for over 25 years, I would say about 27 years, I was involved in nonprofit photography. Okay. And so I worked with organizations in all corners of the world. I just traversed the world with my camera, and I worked with Photographers Without Borders, Global Giving, and many organizations. And mainly I was interested in not working with children, but also animals. So I worked with orphanages in Ethiopia and Kenya and Malawi. And I also worked with animal sanctuaries, mainly in Central America. And so that, my background was in archaeology, okay? And that also took me to travel all over the world. But then as the more I traveled, the more I realized how much poverty there was in the world, how much need for help there was in the world. And that led me to take photography, to study photography. And I'm like, I think I want to focus on nonprofit photography. And so I paired up my love for travel with helping. It sort of became a traveling with a purpose. And so for more than 25 years, I did that. And I was in Ethiopia in 2019, working on one of my projects. Actually, I was finishing up a book, and I was working with some local Ethiopian farmers. I was in the rural area north of Addis Ababa. And that was in August of 2019. And all of a sudden, I received this call. I received this call from my older son. He was calling from Colorado. And it was really weird because my son is typically very busy and also knows that when I'm abroad, especially in Africa, he typically does not call, either text me or. So I received this call and he says, "Mom, sit down." And, right there, I knew that there was something bad that had happened. And so I didn't sit down. I'm like, "Tell me what's going on. What? Tell me." And he immediately blurted out. He said, Blaze took his life. So Blaze was my 21-year-old son, who had taken his life in a public park in Colorado. And it's hard to describe what something like that does. It just creates a void, an emptiness, that where it's almost like everything stops and everything is empty and becomes a blur. So I felt like fainting. I had to fly back immediately to the States. And I was in rural Ethiopia, in the middle of nowhere. So finding my itinerary meant going back to the capital, which is Addis Ababa, and find a travel agency. It took a while to get there. They had to drive me there, of course. And it took me hours to put the itinerary together. We figured out my itinerary, and my first flight wouldn't leave for many hours. And I was thinking, there's no way I can do this. How am I going to do this? The people in my group could not come with me. They barely had food on their table. Imagine having a passport. These people nobody could fly back with me. And so I sat down, I sat there in a corner, and I just started crying. Everybody eventually left. They all went to their homes. They all had their own obligations. This guy enters. I'm still at the travel agency. Just a random guy. Sees me crying, and he sits with me, and he says, "What is wrong? What's wrong?" And he immediately held my hand. And I was just crying on his shoulder. He said, "I'll be here with you." And so what happened was he basically stayed with me for 9-10 hours, right? Until my first flight left. Mind you, the itinerary was flying from Addis Ababa to Dublin, to Boston, to Colorado. It was a 40-plus hour trip. So he held my hand, and he said, "I'm going to take you to lunch, and I'll take care of you. I can introduce you to my wife." But I was just shaking. I was just crying and shaking. And he kept caressing me, saying, "You don't have to worry. Your son is fine right now, and I'm here with you." Just, the angel that materializes completely out of the blue. After 10 hours, I had my first flight, and I was flying from Addis Ababa to Dublin. He even took me to the airport. And once he took me to the airport, I felt like this incredible connection with this guy. Like, this click, when this connection, when you feel like you have known the person forever, just looking at each other in each other's eyes, we could tell, I've known him forever. Mm-hmm. And I really did not want to leave. And I said, "Why were you here for me all day long. And he said, I didn't do anything that is special. I'm your brother and you're my sister. And this presence, his presence throughout that day, helped me on those flights to overcome the fear of traveling by myself, because I carried his love with me. Mm-hmm. And it was a 40+ hour trip. Just I felt it in my body, his love, for 40 hours. And right there, I understood the power of love in action. He said, I didn't do anything that was special. Mm-hmm. He saved my life. There's no way I would have made it. And so I realized that love is not just theory. Love is not just words. Love is action. Love is presence. It's not just holding someone else's hand. It's being present. Even if you cannot fix the problem, it's your presence next to me saying you're not alone. And I realized that everybody can do that every day. We can all do the same exact thing. We don't think that we are doing anything specifically important, but we could save someone else's life. And that is what this man did. We are now friends. I went back to Ethiopia again. He invited me to his house and met his kids and all his friends. We have been on other podcasts together, and he's become one of my best friends. And he still, to this day, does not believe that he did anything special.
Wow. What a beautiful, touching story. Thank you for being so open and vulnerable and raw in that share. You know, it's something very precious. You mentioned that you could feel his love in your body, and that's what got you through this 40-hour flight. What does love feel like in your body?
Okay, so he did not know my full story. He did not know my son. I just briefly explained what had happened to him, right? So he didn't give me any, by holding my hand, it's almost like he transferred his energy into my energy field. And I felt this warmth, this almost like bliss when I was with this person. Mm-hmm. I felt safe. I felt safe in my body. I felt this surge of safety and protection in my body. Mm-hmm. And, you know, again, he sat there with me for 10 hours holding my hand. Mm-hmm. And so he simply, just by simply staying, his act of kindness didn't want to erase my grief, but it's almost like he transferred energy into my energy field. That's how I felt. Without this person, I would have fallen to my knees, 100%.
Yeah. Wow. Protected and safe and bliss, and so many beautiful words to describe that feeling in the body, and what felt like it was being emitted through the collaboration of your energy fields, right, which is really beautiful. And I remember from your talk, I might not be quoting you exactly, but you said something along the lines of, grief is love with nowhere to go. And that's such a profound statement. And I'd love to know more about what that means. And then if you can expand into how love in action then serves both as, let's say, maybe remedy or bridge beyond grief, because this is what you do. This is the work that you're doing, which is incredible.
Yeah. So I would say this is what I realized, that so the love that I had for my son was immense, right? And it still is. We were what you would call soulmates. Mm-hmm. We would finish each other's sentences. We would just look at each other in the eyes and we were like, yeah, we would understand each other. We spoke the same language. You know, sometimes you have a certain type of communication, I would say skill or communication pattern that does not match another person's. So you have to over explain yourself to make the person understand what you're feeling. You know, for instance, I am a very sensitive person. I'm very empathic. And so I tend to speak in poems. There are people who are engineers and, you know, they speak in headlines, bullet points, you know, and it's hard for sometimes to understand each other. You almost have to translate what you're trying to say into their own language, right? Which takes extra effort. With my son, it was completely the opposite. We were just like on the same exact page. Mm-hmm. And so the love that we had for each other was immense. He was an empath, just like myself. And he kept telling me, Mom, I am, this world is so harsh. This world is so hard. What is the point? And I said, listen, you're an empath. Empathy is a gift. It has its pros and cons, because as an empath, you can absorb the good and the bad. You absorb it all. You're like a sponge. You're like a sponge. But if you realize it's a gift, you can do so much in the world. So much, right? So basically, what I realized once he wasn't no longer there, I realized that I had this immense amount of love stuck inside my body. The love that would naturally flow towards him was stuck in my body. I could feel it. I felt, compare me with a lion in a cage. I felt like I had so much energy. I didn't know what to do with it. And that was the energy of love that was stuck in the body, because normally the love would flow naturally towards him. And then and vice versa. And then it would flow back to me. It was a beautiful relationship. Now I realized that my grief, that feeling of being stuck with so much love in the body was grief. Grief was basically love with nothing, with nowhere to go. It was stuck inside the body. So I realized I need an outlet. I'm not able to give this love to this person anymore. I still can, but he's not physically here anymore. And especially in the beginning, it's just, you're constantly looking for the person wherever you turn, but there's no way you can see them. Yeah. I could feel him from the beginning. I still feel him. He's always around. But physically, of course, they're not there anymore. So I said, okay, I need to let go. I need to let go of this energy, which I was either going to explode or implode. Mm-hmm. So I started writing, right? I started writing poetry to him, letters to him. And some were very angry. But I realized that little by little, this was starting to make me feel better. Like, I don't feel as full as I used to feel. Still painful, very painful. But I was able to let go piece by piece, right? So I started writing more and more. And there came a time where I had to write. I said, I have to write. I would wake up at 3, 4 in the morning, automatically wake up without an alarm or anything. I'd go into the other room, light a candle, say a prayer, and write. For 2, 3 hours, I would write. And then I will close the notebook. I will write by hand, close the notebook, and then wait for the following day. Same time, 3, 4 in the morning, would wake up and have to write. And every day I would look back at what I had written the day before, saying to myself, did I actually write that? Because it felt like it was channeled, seriously channeled. So little by little, I started showing my writings to my friends and family. And they would tell me, Laura, this has to become a book. But it wasn't my intention to create a book. My intention was to release in a cathartic way what I had inside. And I was really starting to feel much better. And so it did become a book. And the book became, the title I picked was 21 Olive Trees, because my son was 21 at the time of his passing. And the olive tree just came to me in a dream. And the dream spoke to me. In the dream, the olive tree spoke to me saying, I am strength, I am power. And so I said, maybe that should be in the title of the book. As if I was saying to the other person, I am getting over my grief. You can do it too. So I'm giving you, I'm holding your hand with this book. I am an olive tree, strong and grounded and powerful. I'm giving you the power to be one also. So this book became 21 olive trees, and each chapter is divided. The book is divided into 21 chapters. Each chapter has a poem and a fable with a moral at the end. And it's dedicated to him, of course. That is really what I really realized, that that's what it was. It was releasing the energy of love, and by giving it to the book, I knew that this love would help other people. So I realized that the love that I had inside, I had to give it to wherever it was needed in the world. Be it grieving mothers, it could be animals, it could be children, it could be, but love is love. It comes in many different forms. It was simply love stuck inside that I knew had to release. And so since then, I realized that's all it is. It's all, and we are energy. We live in an energetic world, and love is one of the most powerful energies there are. So if you're able to release that love inside and put it wherever it's needed in the world, then you'll feel that you're putting that love into action. It's no more love that is stuck. It's love in action.
Stunning. So beautiful. And I know that you've mentioned a couple times, and I'd love to know more about how love in action in your world first, how that plays out when you're working with animals, when you're working with, whether it's grieving mothers or whether you're working with children. You've mentioned a few different areas, and I know you're well traveled, so there's probably many more examples of it, but I'd love to know, how does that practically land in this dimension, love in action for you?
Well, again, I would say that just like the stranger who became my friend, very dear friend, taught me, is that love in action can just be simple presence, just being present with someone else who is going through pain. Yeah. You don't have to fix it, but just being present, letting the person know that they are not alone, right? So that right there is love in action. And then, we can practice love in action in our everyday lives. As soon as we leave our house, just, helping a stranger, just like what he did with me, helping a stranger, being kind, kindness. It's just like, oh, kindness is one of the most important attributes to be to create a peaceful world. And kindness begins with us. We need to be kind to ourselves and peaceful inside, and then we can create a peaceful world. I realized that love in action or peace in action is not only a treaty signed between nations, okay? Love is not just the language of poetry, all right? It's not just theory. It can be as small as presence. It can be as small as a touch, a look, a moment of empathy. And these small actions have the power to change us, and through us, change the world. One thing that happened to me that was incredible was a year after publishing my book, 21 Olive Trees. It received a Kirkus star and it was endorsed by Deepak Chopra, and it did well. And but only after about a year, and this is just to show you how connected everything is, how the universe orchestrates everything. So it was between Christmas Eve and Christmas Day of 2023. So it was about a year and a half after publication. I couldn't sleep. It was maybe, again, 3, 4 in the morning. And that was already Christmas Day. I'm online and I'm just looking at the rankings of my book and just doing some research in that sense. And I happened to see this thing that says, garden of 21 olive trees planted on the island of Crete. And so I said, wait a minute, double take. What is this? So I opened it. I opened the website and I saw what it was. It was about this international initiative, which is called the Garden of Peace, which only plants gardens of olive trees around the world as symbols of coexistence and peace. But the crazy part is that they only plant gardens of 21 olive trees around the world. I was floored. I still have the chills when I remember this, because number one, it was Christmas Day. I am not a religious person, but Christmas Day, I thought immediately of my son Blaze sending a gift to mom for Christmas. And number two, I realized that I wrote a book that is titled 21 Olive Trees, and the Garden of Peace only plants gardens of 21 olive trees around the world. So the day after Christmas, I called them, and I was still living in California at the time. The headquarters is in Madrid, in Spain, right? And I spoke directly to the president, and I told him my story. And he was crying. I was crying. And he said, send me your book. So I did. And we started collaborating together ever since. We have been collaborating on peace initiatives with the Garden of Peace. And we've already done, we have already created a Garden of Peace in Tangier, in Morocco. And we are going to do many, many more. And ever since, I've become their ambassador. And so I feel that small act of love that came from the stranger has created ripples in a way that I would have never imagined.
Wow. And I think that just to kind of reflect and highlight, because we don't take for granted the level of self-awareness or openness to receive these synchronicities, because
Right.
they're happening for us all the time, all around us, and we don't always notice. And whether that's because we're very busy or we don't even believe they exist or whatever the reason may be. And I'm just curious about your personal practice of stillness or being in a space where you can receive, because there's a lot coming through the 3 to 4 a.m. morning rise to write, the channeling experience there, the connection, the deep connection you had and still have with your son, all of these signs and all of these beautiful things happening. What's your practice that allows you to be that receptive to these beautiful noticings?
Well, that's a beautiful question. I have been a long time meditator, and I practice TMs, transcendental meditation. So it works with the mantra. And so, yeah, I spend about 25 minutes in the morning, 25 at night, as soon as I wake up and then before I go to bed. And for me, that place of stillness is absolutely necessary to face the day. Like, I don't start my day unless I do my meditation. And even if if I'm not able to meditate early in the morning because of some reason, I still try to make room for it, even if it's noisy, or, I still try to at least do it 10 minutes. But it's essential because, as you said, we go so fast. We don't have the time to slow down, right? It's just a constant bombardment by stimulation, and everything's going so fast. It's hard to keep our attention still and to be still for more than 2 minutes. We gotta go, we gotta. So once you create that practice in the morning and at night, right before going to bed, in the beginning, it's not necessarily easy because we're so used to going fast that slowing down makes it, especially in the beginning, it's hard. You're like, oh, yeah, I don't need this. Why would I need that? Why do I have to slow down? I have so many things to do. If you're able to slow down, to make yourself slow down in the beginning with your initial practices, then it becomes easier and easier to slow down more during the day. So if you do it in the morning, do it at night. In the beginning, it's not necessarily easy because your mind is always going. But once you make yourself do it, morning and night, then it becomes easier throughout the day to slow down even for 5 minutes, slow down for 10 minutes, say yes to yourself and no to the person who's always asking you for a favor or this or that. So once we slow down, we are able to see the signs. When we're going constantly fast, there's signs all over us all the time. But when we're going at the speed of light, because we are going at the speed of light with AI and everything, we don't notice anything. So the practice of meditation also helps you throughout the day to say, okay, I am going to slow down more. I am going to see and observe what is around me, if there's any signs, if there's anything off, or if I'm on the right path. Another thing that is essential for me is being in nature. I know it's something that a lot of people say, but for me, like, it's essential to be in nature. I love walking and hiking, but I do it every day. I'm not a gym person. I don't like being in enclosed spaces. I like being outside, and that's another form of meditation for me. It's walking meditation. So at least for an hour.
Yeah. And
so slowing down makes you see what is around you. It really you realize that you are surrounded by signs. And this 21 olive tree garden of peace happening was not just a small sign, it was a huge sign. It was so blatant that said, I cannot not call them. This is it, it made my path forward so clear that, but sometimes the signs can be small. Mm-hmm. But if you learn to slow down, then you're able to see them. Yeah. Even just like looking at a clock for 4:44 or 1:11, or mm-hmm. Just little signs here, and just notice them. And if they're recurrent, okay,
yeah. Yes, I love that. And I often have a practice in terms of noticing these things as like writing them down without attaching any meaning to them at all. Right. Just think, I noticed this, I noticed that. And after a while, it's so interesting how the patterns become evident. Yes. And it's just that I think what we try to do as well as human beings is to understand immediately, or edit because it has to mean this or it has to mean that, bringing the logical mind into it. So just going, 444. Oh, I noticed that. I've had that experience yesterday. I was doing something on my phone and listening to a podcast. I just picked up my phone to do something while I was listening to a podcast. And on the phone, a little ad came up that said something about puzzles. And the guy 2 seconds later said something about the puzzle. And I was just like, it's how random is that, right? So I don't know necessarily what these things mean, but I love the noticing and like, that happened very quickly in synchronicity with each other. So I think the slowing down also offers us the moment to notice, and then, maybe we don't need to make sense of everything at once. Right. As you said, when it recurs or where something, you feel like, as you said, I just knew I had to call. It was just a knowing in you. Then you follow those sparks.
Yeah. And it's, it's following, not necessarily the head, is following the heart. It's just something that
Yeah.
How do I explain it? I don't know how to explain it. I just know it. And that's intuition, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Us, exactly. Highly sensitive people in past, we have this very developed intuition. And so I just follow it. And, I tend to feel it in my body. I feel it in this area of my body, probably my heart area. Where when I need to do something, it's just like I feel like this fire here. I need to do it, and I always follow my intuition. My intuition is very well developed. We all have intuition. It's just a matter of slowing down, understanding to ourselves. Listening to ourselves, and that's through. I would say meditation plays a huge teacher to be able to listen to ourselves.
Yeah, of course. Now, I know that your work spans across continents. In fact, even us coming together, you were here, there, everywhere. And whether that's in the orphanages in Africa or the animal sanctuaries, or as you mentioned, the beautiful peace gardens that you move around globally. And I'd love to know how these projects kind of unify. What's the unified philosophy that leads you through this, or the thread that carries through all of them? Because love in action, as you said, it's not, I'm going to go over here and do this. It's a daily, here I am being present in the moment every day in your life. But of course, you're really expanding that in the world so that you experience it, but also you're able to lead by example. So I'd love to know about how these amazing projects connect in the work that you do.
Yeah. So basically, everywhere I go, I return to the same truth, that peace and love are not abstract ideals. Okay, that's very important to remember. A lot of people talk about peace like it's just this abstract thing, right? Peace starts with us, right? And in order to bring peace to the world, it needs to start with us. It's very important. And so we need to learn to stay still and sit with ourselves, even with the uncomfortable parts of ourselves, right? That's acceptance, full acceptance of the self. And so for me, it all stems from, again, meditation. I know a lot of people don't like meditating because, again, you need to sit still and it's a fast world. But it's important to incorporate it into your routine if you're able to, even 5-10 minutes. It doesn't have to be an hour, but it's very important. And so peace starts with us. We get to the inner peace by meditating, by sitting still, by understanding, by accepting our wholeness, right? The good and the bad, right? So again, peace starts with us. Peace and love are not abstract ideals. They are choices that we live in the everyday. That is very important. They are actions that, however small, can completely ripple outward, right? So for me, I would say I had already been in, a nonprofit photographer for many years, but what the stranger taught me was the importance of the human touch, right? So the human touch is not only physical. It's not only a hand in a hand. It's the presence we bring when we sit with someone who is in trouble, someone who is having a problem. And that can be a person, it can also be an animal. We all share the same planet, okay? So what I would say is pick and choose your cause. Are you drawn to working with children? Are you drawn to working with animals? Are you drawn to working with the elderly? There's so much need in the world, so much need. And you can make a difference. Because a lot of people have come to me saying, what difference can I make? And I explained my story of the stranger who came to me, sat with me, didn't even know me, held my hand for hours and hours and hours. And then I asked him why. Because it was my human responsibility. You're my sister, I'm your brother. And that changed. I mean, number one, it saved my life. And number two, it brought the importance of presence in my work more than ever. The human touch, the human presence can heal. Even if you don't think you're going to contribute, you can save someone else's life. Yeah. And so the human presence, the human touch can heal. It can connect. It can transform. So when you are in doubt, what can I do today to save the world? Which, the world is in, if you look at it from many perspectives, it's going bananas. But nobody ever talks about the goodness that is happening in this world. There's so many people who are working behind the scenes to make it better, right? Yeah. So number one, you need to start from yourself. Be at peace with who you are, and then bring that love outward to others wherever that love is needed. And that's pretty much the path that I have been following.
That's beautiful.
So and it really teaches us, it can remind us that even in our darkest hours, we are never alone, because there's always someone there for us. Like we can be that angel for someone else out there. And, you may start small and then progress and create your own foundation. You can do so many different things in the world.
Yeah. Wow, there's so many nuggets that you've dropped there. I have 2 questions forming, and I'll kind of backtrack and then come back forward. You mentioned this earlier as well, but you mentioned it now about peace and love not being like these like passive ideals, that it really is about the small choices you make moment to moment. And earlier you also mentioned that moment of, being able to say no to someone else and yes to yourself when you need that time. And for me, it's all about protecting your peace. When you're actually able to make the choice, and whether it's meditation or any other modality that brings you into stillness, and you find those moments of peace, it's also important to protect it, because we know that there's so much going on in the outer world and so on and so forth. So I'd love to know about your relationship with boundaries and how you protect your peace, because you really know that love and peace are those, we're making that choice moment to moment to moment to step into that energy.
That's a great question. So I would say that another reason why the olive tree came into my dream, into my life, is to teach me how strong I am, right? So I become the olive tree, right? Okay, so I am grounded, I am rooted, I am the olive tree extending its branches to whoever needs the peace. But I'm still the olive tree. I don't lean into your problem. I give you a branch, but then I'm still the olive tree. The olive tree is strong, it's powerful, its roots are very deep. Look at yourself as an olive tree. And that's how you protect your peace.
Yes. Okay, something else now is stirring. So let me come back to the other question. And you highlighted, which I think is so profound, your friend who said, "I'm your brother, you're my sister." What do you think is the underlying principle that we as human beings need to adopt or learn or express for us to see each other that way? We are individuals, yet we're all interconnected. And you just highlighted that again with the tree, because trees under the ground where those roots go down, there's such a vast network of connection happening underneath, though the individual olive tree on the outside expression can be that strong, steady, let's say, individual tree as what we might notice from the surface. So I'd love to know about your thoughts on that. How can we move the needle as human beings to see each other as brother and sister, even in a stranger?
The other thing that the stranger who became my friend, let's give him a name. His name is Asapa. Okay.
Beautiful.
The other thing that he told me after saying, "I am your brother and you are my sister," was, it was my human responsibility. And that is huge, because if you think about it, we are all human beings. We're sharing the same planet. So whatever I'm doing it, whatever I'm doing that is negative to the world, I'm also doing it back to myself, because it's all an interconnection, right? It's an exchange of energy. So if I'm giving you goodness, I'm spreading that energy of goodness. And the more we do it, the more the world is going to be at peace. So it's our human responsibility to treat each other like brothers and sisters, because we all share the same environment. It's all an exchange of energy. And whatever I give comes back every time. So let's just try to spread this. What does peace look like when it moves? It creates peace. It starts from us. We let the peace out. It moves. It creates peace. What does love sound like when it takes action? It creates more love. And so it's very important to understand that when we are looking at each other as different, he's different than me, she's different than me. Look, pretend that you are in a beautiful field filled with different colorful flowers. They're all different, but they create the tapestry of this field. They're all different. And that's why the world has so many different beautiful animals and flowers. And, nature teaches us so much. There's so much variety, so much variety creates beauty. But we all share the same planet. So why do we say you are different than me? Of course you are different than me, but that's the beauty about this life on Earth. It's the variety.
Yeah. Beautiful. I love that. And I just want to vision this a bit with you, because I know that you kind of looking forward. Let's see if I can frame this. Looking forward, what does success look like for you when you think about peace in action, the initiative that you're working with? And I believe you're creating this sanctuary as well, this kind of future pacing of that. If someone were to come into that reality, to step into that reality, what kind of emotions or experiences or transformations would they encounter?
I would say that they would step into a world of, number one, action. It's a very action-oriented world where we observe, we sit with the problem, with the solution, with the problem, and we create a solution. So we're very action-oriented. So if you look at the future of where I'm going from now, I don't know, maybe 10, 20 years, it's all going to be about peace in action, love in action. So there's a lot of movement there. There's nothing static. And I work with a group of people who are also change makers and peacemakers. And so we are working, for instance, as the ambassador of the Garden of Peace, we are working to do more and more gardens. The upcoming ones will be in Hiroshima, in Japan. Mainly, we want to create gardens where there either used to be conflict or war, to neutralize that negative energy. So Hiroshima is one of them, Sarajevo. We're getting requests from pretty much all over the world. We got Rwanda, we got, where there was the genocide, and we got requests from the prisons, so the courtyard of prisons. And that's really, the idea is to neutralize that negativity, that negative energy, and to bring the love into action, the peace into action. And so you neutralize it, and you neutralize it, and then you finally offer the peace. You've offered that energy of bliss, of feeling safe, that safety that stranger gave me when he held my hand. It's the recreation of, wow, bliss, peace, safety. And so these gardens are gardens that are symbols of coexistence, mainly. So we have 21 different trees, where each tree comes from a different country. So each olive tree comes from a different country. So we are able to plant a tree from the US, next to one from Israel, next to one from the Palestine, for instance. So coexistence, just like they coexist, we can coexist as well. So that's the peace in action that we are creating. Love in action is the same. It's all action oriented. It's about spreading that energy all over the world. And it doesn't matter. Love comes in so many different forms. Peace comes in many different forms. And just like us humans, we all come in, different colors, different, backgrounds, but we can all work together with different ideas to create a beautiful, varied world of love and peace. And these are not just abstract ideas. They're absolute action-oriented projects that are going to create models of compassion. Also, for instance, we have I also am the liaison for Tangier, International City of Peace, which I nominated as an international city of peace, and now it's recognized as an international city of peace, where we are going to create within the sanctuary, the animal sanctuary, an educational center to teach children about compassion and respect towards animals and nature. And so it's just one thing leads to another, and then another, and then another, but they're all like connected to peace and love, simply in action.
Well, that's amazing. Just the energy that's created in your sharing of it is really stunning. And I hope that those that are listening can, for those who do ask the questions like, what can I do? Somewhere on the other side of the world, what can I actually do to help? It's like, be kind to your neighbor, be kind to your child, be kind to your animal, be kind to whatever, of course, yourself. And that in itself, and from finding moments of stillness, and that in itself offers more spaciousness for you to go, well, what's the next step I can take?
Yeah.
Which is stunning.
It's outward. Yeah. It's just, it's like a domino effect. And then the more people see you being kind and loving towards others, the more they might adopt your, way of being. Oh, she did that. Look how cool. Or, or she created this, or she founded that. Oh, okay. I can do it. She did it after everything that she went through. Because I'm telling you, the first year after my son passed away, it was not the easiest year. But, she has been through that, and she was able to grow from that experience. Maybe I can do that too, maybe in a different way, but we all have that olive tree inside.
Yes. Yeah, that's really lovely. And I do know from the energetic perspective that we have a frequency, we have a sonic, I call it a unique sound print that everyone can feel or hear or sense into. And as you speak about being an empath, you can sense someone's energy a mile away. And so sometimes it's not even I need to be kind to someone else. I just need to emit this frequency of peace or love within myself. I like to think of it as being the thermostat, not the thermometer. You set the temperature of you, and that can then be out there reflecting out into the space around you.
Yeah. It's just like the sun. It just keeps shining, even if it's cloudy or whatever, it keeps shining. The sun is the sun, it gives warmth. And but it's always there. It's not changing, and you can be the same.
Yes.
So you can be this incredible source of brightness and luminosity, okay, without having to disperse yourself into other people's problems. You are the light.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
That's beautiful.
So, it's small things. Start small. But the main thing is starting. It's just like starting to exercise or starting to meditate. The worst part is the first step.
Yes.
Today, start and be kind. Go out there and find a homeless person and just give them some money. Sit down with them, talk to them. How are you? What's your background? Why are you here? What happened to you? It's a human being just like you.
Mm-hmm.
So start small. And, if you look, I would like to create this image. It's the image of a grieving mother. That's me, right? In Ethiopia. I was sitting in silence in the middle of rural Ethiopia. And then you have the image of a man, the stranger, sitting next to her, right? No words, just presence, okay? His hand holding her hand. That, my friends, is peace in action. That is love in action.
Yeah. Wow, what a beautiful full circle moment. I hope that you listeners are feeling this heart expansion as much as we are here in this space together. Laura, where can people find more about you and, support all the beautiful initiatives that you are working on right now?
Okay. I'm a very hands-on person, so I don't have my own social media anymore. I just use the social media of my organizations because I don't have the time to follow it. So you are welcome to check out the Garden of Peace. It's www.thegardenofpeace.org.
Beautiful.
It's the organization that plants the gardens of olive trees around the world. And then I'm also the ambassador for the SFT Animal Sanctuary, which is one of the largest animal sanctuaries in Africa, and it's in Tangier, Morocco. And their website is sftmorocco.org. And you are welcome to contribute, come and volunteer, adopt an animal. We have more than 1,000 animals, and so there's always emergencies. And so your help is always needed, and you are always welcome to contact us.
Thank you so much. Of course, I will make sure all of those links are included in the show notes. But I want to just take a moment to thank you. You know, I'm so glad we made this happen. As I said, I was so very moved by your story, and I felt we need more people sharing about what's possible when there's peace and love in action. So I celebrate you and all that you're doing to help us all bring more love and peace in the world, because boy, do we need it. And I'm just so grateful.
Namaste.
So I close all of my episodes for my guests with the same question, and that is, Laura, what is your soulful sound to the world? And that's just a prayer or desire that you wish upon the world.
I would say that even the smallest actions have the power to change us and to change the world.
And so it is. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
If you loved this episode, hit that like and subscribe button and make sure to check out our other episodes. Thank you so much for tuning in, sending you love, healing, and sound wherever you are.